The surly curmudgeon, watching out for the young'uns.
Our situation is serious, but not hopeless. Our situation sucks Yangtze River water. Our culture is almost completely destroyed. There is no sense of future in this country, top to bottom. The family is destroyed. Facsimiles of family still exist in some subcultures, but they can't produce healthy people like the real thing. And nations need healthy people to be the majority to survive. This nation isn't going to survive. The government is not accomplishing anything but impoverishing us. Conspiracy theories and facts go on a different channel. This is just an overview. Christianity is currently failing just about everyone, and Judaism, Catholicism, and Islam were always dead ends of rote performance without understanding. The contest for the rest of history will be between those who want people to understand who they are and what they're doing so they can freely make successful choices, and those who want to rule over unthinking idiot slaves. Right now, the slavers are winning, but that won't continue. That doesn't mean we're definitely going to win, because it's entirely possible that the battle gets rained out. More on that in the future history video. Cancer rates are increasing dramatically. And doctors are lying to you about why that's so. It's not because we're living longer. Look, if you were born in the 1890s and you survived all the childhood stuff, you could expect more than 90 years. And those people, they died in the 1980s, and they did not get cancer in the rates we're seeing today. Doctors will tell you, well, we're getting cancer because people are living longer, and everybody gets cancer if they live long enough, so since people are living longer, we're seeing more cancer. That's crap. Look at the 1890s generation's cancer rates, and you'll see that your doctor, if he says that to you, is lying to you. Cancer is getting worse. World leadership, and I'll refer to them as a group, though they are not united except in the evil results they achieve, is polluting our world past livability. Mercury and radionuclides are the two biggest problems, but they get absolutely no airtime. Fukushima is an extinction level event. That doesn't mean it will kill us. It just means it could. And it very well might. It should be getting airtime every stinking day, but it's not. And mercury, we're putting between 8 and 10,000 tons of mercury vapor into the atmosphere every day, or every year. That doesn't just fall back down and get absorbed. It works its way into the food chain and works its way up so that now every human baby born has detectable levels of mercury in their bodies. That's bad. And these are just some of the problems that we're facing that are getting no airtime and no leadership attention. Geoengineering is killing the planet. That's less of a long-term problem than it might seem, because as the world dies, society will die before the world does. So if there are any human survivors, they'll have something of a much reduced but functioning web of life within which to build something new. And notice, I didn't say rebuild, I said build. I firmly reject the idea of rebuilding, and so should you. This entire civilization was just built wrong. And the next one should be built differently, not a redo of this one. Am I worried about it? Not really. We're men. The difficult we do immediately. The impossible may take a couple of days. I'm not joking. We can do this. And we have to do this. So far, we've done everything we had to do. Since we have to do this, I'm sure we will. We build societies. It's what we do. The fact that we're starting with a blank slate makes it all the easier. Let's review a little of what we know. 1. Patriarchy created monogamy for men and women and children. It's not for women. It's for men and women. Why is my mouse running backwards? There we go. We're products of the march of the ancients, and it continues today. If I knew all their names, I could tell you my father and his father and his father and his father, all the way back to Adam, the Sumerian king list, way back. This is the line of fathers. Same on my mother's side, a line of mothers. Right? These people struggled to have kids that made it through. Right? You and I have that struggle today. Now, the only way for men to have children, and know who they are and raise them themselves and continue the march of the ancients is through monogamy. That's just how we do it. It's the best way to do it. There are problems with polygamy that I'm not going to go into here. I may do a separate video on that. If somebody wants me to, go up to terraformers.neoviking.com, make a donation and a video request, and I'll put together a video on polygamy, why it's a bad idea. But monogamy is the only way for men to have children and know who those children are and raise them themselves and continue the march of the ancients. Monogamy is the only way for women to be part of a family and have the respect of the office of wife. Now, if you say, well, I can form my own family and I don't need to be anybody's wife, fine, go do that. Okay? Really. I wish you well. I really do. I just know that when Susie Johnson and her 4 kids move into the house down the block, nobody ever refers to them as the Johnson family because there's no father. She's divorced. Okay? It's not a family, as people use the term. So you want to redefine family? Oh, go for it. I really do wish you well. I will not spit on you in the marketplace or anything like that. Right? I just see the world differently from you, and I'm going to build what I build differently than you do. Deal with it. Monogamous families are the building blocks of society. Now, other people like the gays and lesbians and the single, spinster aunts and the funny uncles and all that, these people are members of society. They are not the building blocks of it. Society was built by young men with families who needed to be able to rely on one another to stand on the wall and face down the bad guy, or to form hunting parties to go out in the dead of winter and bring home food for everybody because we're running low. All right? That's what society was created for. Everybody else doesn't have something so important to protect that they have to risk their lives and they have to build relationships to protect it. Everybody else, besides the monogamous families, can go somewhere else and find a welcome. It is not that way with monogamous families. So society was created by and for monogamous families. It is the only, because monogamous families are the only sure source of men willing to stand on the wall and face the bad guys. It is the only way that men have any certainty of knowing who their children are and continuing the march of the ancients their ancestors started. Now, at some point I'll do a video on fatherhood. I'll just remind you here, men do not want to have children in the sense of offspring exist. They want a family unit that they lead. They want to raise those kids. They want to teach them everything that they learned from their dad and he learned from his dad and so on, and get them ready to launch out into the world to continue the march of the ancients for another generation. It is not a biological imperative. It is an emotional and spiritual imperative. Deal with it. Men are deeper than you think. We are not merely featherless bipeds with an instinct to reproduce. And I despise anyone who thinks we are. Monogamy is the only way, I'm sorry, scratch that. Both sexes of children get their gender identity from their fathers. This is a fact. The statistics about problem kids from single-parent families are actually only true of single-mother families, not single-father families. Fathers are essential to healthy families, not mothers. This refutes the wisdom of centuries by saying that if someone should be saddled with child-rearing, it's dad, not mom. Accepting the truth of this will enable husbands and wives to structure their lives so that almost everything feminists legitimately bitch about is addressed without hurting anyone and by building everyone up. That's several videos for later. This society has serious problems built into it. Even so, it's the best that man's ever done. So when we're building a new one, let's take lessons learned from it and use them. For that matter, how about lessons learned from the 6,000 years of recorded history? Let's take all those too. Let's do something right. Throughout history, people have staked out a piece of land, and any resources that weren't on that piece of land had to be brought there, usually by ox cart or horse-drawn wagon. The result of this attitude has been that people who were in the business of selling resources to the landlocked peasant-brained hobbits in their hobbit holes became wealthy, and became the rulers. It's time to reverse our attitude. It is time to reverse our attitude about land and choose to be mobile and own pieces of land all over the world, but not be bound to any of them. That sounded all familiar, like maybe the way that the aristocracy around the world has always done things? They live in this estate for a while, then that one for a while, then the other one? Huh? Could you have a house in South America, a house in Africa, a house in Asia, a house in Australia, a house in the U.S., a house in Europe? Yeah, you could. You just hadn't decided you needed to yet. Because once you decide you need to, you'll start making it happen. Really. You're a man. I trust you. There are many reasons for this. Actually, it will probably be its own video. Let me look at my video list. Yes, it is. It's on the list. Okay. All right. Those who've ruled over us generally have a longer-term worldview than the peasantry that they've ruled over. Sorry, but it's true. Changing to a long-term worldview will put you on a more nearly equal terms with them and insulate you from their schemes aimed at peasant control. That is its own video as well. Now, many of the problems we have come from two things: the need for infrastructure and the centralization that goes with it, and the problems caused by crowding to ease the cost of transport. That's a whole separate video too. These two problems create one another. Whichever one you start with, you end up with the other, and they only get worse. The solution is to go where there's energy and resources all around you and transport is free. Yes, there is such a place, and it's 3/4 of our world, and yes, we can live there. Now, this knowledge is enough to build a world worth living in, where men and women are respected and reasonably safe. Perfect safety is neither attainable nor desirable. We can do this. What's more, because we can, and it would be better for us, we should. Yeah. Here's the good news. We're starting with a blank slate. No expectations have survived the last 30 years, and everything is now negotiable. Ladies, that's going to weigh on you a bit, because face-to-face, self-interested negotiation is not usually part of women's subculture, but you're adaptable. I have faith in you. You'll do well. We have knowledge of methods, traditions, the needs of men, women, and children, how a family should work, and so on. In this series of videos, we're going to flesh out plans for individual and family success. And our definition of family success is Y5B, the year 5 billion. Here's what Y5B is. The science boys tell us that in about 5 billion years, the sun will go out. Okay. That's not the problem. The problem for anyone who's looking forward is, how do I run my family today such that there's a good chance that at Y5B, I will have descendants scattered throughout the universe, and they will have a solid enough family value that at Y5B, they'll all come in their privately owned spaceships, and they'll have a gigantic family reunion and watch the old home sun wink out. That is the Y5B problem. And if I'm really lucky, someone will have written down my name, and no matter how badly they mispronounce it after all those billions of years, they'll raise a glass and toast old JD for putting them on the road to the stars. If I could be remembered as any one thing, it would be the guy who lifted people out of the mud and got them headed toward the stars. Anyway, that's the Y5B problem. Take the long-term view. How do I raise my family so that it has durability and flexibility, so as to make it to Y5B? Now, here's the definition of individual success. Remember, we're going to flesh out plans for individual and family success. All right. Living so as to make it to Y5B while achieving personal significance, love, good character, an enjoyable hobby, all the regular stuff that matters to a person's life. Just doing that within the confines of living so as to make it to Y5B. That's personal success. Everything we need to do is better and better for us in some real way than the way of life we've inherited. So the only downside to changing is that we have to change. And Lord knows that's one of the most painful things there is, but we're tough. We can do it. So, as you watch our videos, whether you're looking for MGTOW info, freedom technology, omniarchy, which is collaborative self-rule, any of the topics we present here, remember, this is all founded in reality and in a rational assessment of what's best for people and in a way that people can actually lay hold of it and really enjoy it.